What is up, guys? And we are here to talk about episode 6 of The Last of Us, titled Kin. Now, unfortunately, I didn't get this review out at the close of the episode like I normally do. I've been pretty under the weather this weekend, so I'm going to try my best to get through this video and not let it be tanked by how I'm feeling. Also, not going to be having a live stream tonight, just not up for it. So next week, next Monday, we'll probably be having a discussion on both episode 6 and episode 7. So with that being out of the way, this is the episode where we are getting into the Jackson chapter of The Last of Us video game, to where Joel and Ellie are trying to find Tommy. Obviously, they come across this community, and lo and behold, this community actually has Tommy in stow. And this is another one of those episodes in the season that's kind of a calm before the storm episode. This is more about emotion, more about character dynamics, and especially having Tommy and Joel kind of reconnect and get a little bit more context for how their relationship has changed since episode 1, since that's the last time we've seen Tommy, and immediately dovetailing into the events that are just going to be non-stop insanity for the next 3 episodes of this first season. So the episode starts off, you have this older couple that is in this secluded cabin, and you have Joel and Ellie that are there, where they've more or less, you know, they've got the wife at gunpoint to a certain degree. The husband comes in, and they're just looking for directions. And I thought this was a really interesting scene to, yet again, kind of flesh out how people interact in this world and flesh out how this world works, to where they don't really seem all that startled, don't really seem all that worried about the fact that there's 2 random strangers in their house with weapons. And they're just like, oh, yeah, whatever. I mean, that community that you're going to come across, just be careful, because they leave bodies everywhere and they are not somebody to be fucked with, which is a really nice way to set up kind of the surprise, the subverted expectation, to where you feel like they're going to be coming across a group of raiders or, you know, a villain, and it turns out to be the community that they've been looking for this entire time. So it was a really cool way to kind of open up the episode and set your expectations up for something that is not the way that things go down, especially if you're somebody that has not played the video game and doesn't realize the community that we're about to be introduced to.
We didn't know the place was occupied. We're just trying to make our way through.
Through to where?
They're all right.
But you know these people?
Know him. He's my goddamn brother.
Tommy.
And in the beginning of the episode, before we get to this Jackson community, there's also a couple of really nice little subtle elements from the video game, where you have Ellie trying to whistle, you have her discussing astronauts with Joel. She's really big into space travel and astronauts and everything like that in the video game, and they fleshed it out a lot more in Last of Us Part 2, so I assume we will get those sequences in Season 2 or Season 3, but another nice little element that it continues to flesh out the characters in the context of the show, but also just gives the little winks to everybody that loves the original video game and those cutscenes and those optional conversations. And you also have this introduction of this issue that Joel is having, to where it almost seems like he's going through some form of exhaustion, some kind of physical ailment, to where he's having trouble catching his breath, he's having trouble kind of staying lucid for a moment, and you're not quite sure what that is. And that's not an element from the video game either. So when I first saw it, I wasn't quite sure what they were alluding to with that. What does that mean? What are just the travel, the journey, the wear and tear of this world? Is it starting to take its toll on Joel, or is this a sign of something even worse to come? And I thought this episode did a damn good job at establishing some serious tension whenever this community of people, these people on horseback, actually ambush Joel and Ellie, and they have these dogs that sniff out infection. And so the dog's going towards Ellie, who we all know is infected to some degree. And the way that they build that up, to where you're not sure if the dog's going to smell something, you're not sure if all hell's going to break loose, or if Joel's going to do something to stop it, and then it just fizzles into her just, you know, embracing the dog and having fun. That was a really, really well done segment of tension there. And a good way to introduce this community too, as somebody that is certainly protective and doesn't take any shit, but as soon as they are shown to not be a threat, they're very welcoming. And I loved the way that Joel and Tommy finally got to reunite. I loved the dialogue between them, to where he recognizes his brother from a distance and calls out to him, and Tommy runs over to him and they embrace, and he's like, "What are you doing here?" And then Joel just kind of laughs. He's like, "I was coming to save you." Just the irony that he's got the golden life as far as what is possible in this post-apocalyptic world, and he was fighting like hell from the beginning of this show to try to get there to save his brother, and yeah, he doesn't need saving. And again, man, I think Gabriel Luna is just so damn good in the role of Tommy. Like, he's a smaller character, he's obviously only in a couple episodes this season, and presumably we'll get a lot more of him in the next seasons. I'm really looking forward to that, but the way that he embodies Uncle Tommy, and the way that he has all of those elements from the character in the video games while bringing his own little spin to it, and still kind of achieving that southern draw to his voice in a way to where if you closed your eyes, you would almost swear that that's Jeffrey Pierce. He does that good of a job at recreating it. I just loved seeing the work that he's done with this character. And just like in the game, you get introduced to this, Maria, the wife of Tommy, has heard plenty of stories about Joel, probably more bad than good, already has a pre-established opinion of him to a certain degree, and I love the drama that's created about Joel having that brotherly bond with his brother Tommy, and at the same time feeling a very slight threat from Maria, because now she is somebody that Tommy's going to listen to before he will listen to Joel. And leading up to that ultimate reveal, whenever he's trying to convince Tommy to take over the journey and try to take Ellie where she needs to go, and he won't do it because he's about to have a baby, because Maria is pregnant. And the way that the dialogue between those two characters goes down, and the performances of the two, whenever you have Joel, who obviously had a daughter and lost her, and is now seeing his brother have a baby coming, and it just creates a lot of tension, creates a lot of drama, and creates a lot of turmoil between them. And the way that Tommy even understands why after a while. They have their little tiff, they have their little argument, and he doesn't necessarily appreciate Joel's pessimism towards the entire thing, but then realizes and says as much, like, I know this is complicated for you. I know that this is just, it's just, you're happy for me, but it's complicated. There's other layers to it, and I forgive you for that. I don't hold that against you. You also get Maria that finally enlightens Ellie to Sarah, who Sarah was, and giving her information that suddenly makes Joel make so much more sense in her mind. I would imagine a really big moment for that character, because the way that they have grown, their character interactions, the way that their bond has grown over the previous 5 episodes, it gives a little bit more of an understanding for her about why Joel was the way that he was for the first 3 episodes. And it starts to make her understand why he is the way that he is, why he beat the dude to death in the first episode, and why he's been very at arm's distance and very shut off emotionally, and is just kind of this brick wall. And a very important thing for her to find out. Easily one of the most powerful scenes as far as performance and the dialogue that's been written is when Joel is explaining to Tommy why he wants Tommy to take over from here, and why he doesn't want to continue on this journey with Ellie. And also giving context to the physical ailment that he was shown to be having in the beginning of the episode, to where his failure to keep his daughter alive and safe in the first episode still haunts him, to the degree where now that he's actually starting to really care about Ellie, he doesn't trust himself to not make that mistake again, and to not have that failure again. And just the fact that she realized that he's deaf in one ear, and she had to come and save him in episode 4. Things like that is starting to make him think that he's not up for the job, and she's going to be better off with somebody else. And the way that goes down between him and Ellie is, again, one of those scenes that's directly recreated from the video game, that is done so damn well, to where you get that whole conversation where she lets him know that she knows about Sarah, says, I'm not Sarah, this is not going to happen again, and quit trying to pawn me off on somebody else, I'm just going to be more scared. And he says, you have no idea what loss is. And that whole scene of dialogue, again, this is an episode where so many scenes of just dialogue between characters are the clincher. Those are the linchpin moments of this episode. Eventually, by the end of the episode, because of his interaction with Ellie and having a change of heart, he does eventually decide not to let Tommy do it, and to take on the rest of the journey himself, which I believe is half motivated by him wanting his brother to stay here with his wife and be the father that he unfortunately was not able to be for very long, and also listening to what Ellie was saying and saying, okay, yeah, we are a team. We got to do this together. And so I love the way that that all came together. And you kind of go off into a very quickened segment of the university segment of the video game. In the video game, it was a whole piece to where you're in this university, you get all these different informations and these little audio logs, and you're searching through trying to figure out where the fireflies are.
You're looking for the fireflies. They've all left.
Yeah, no shit.
And you're getting attacked by raiders eventually, where people are coming into the university trying to kill you, trying to take stuff, and this episode kind of condenses that down to where they get to the university, immediately run into a group of people, and a scuffle comes out, and Joel gets stabbed by the end of it and just keels over. And so there's some people that I can imagine are probably going to be upset at the fact that that university segment was so shortened for kind of an efficient reason, but I think if certain segments of the game that are just primarily gameplay, just walking around and opening up drawers and trying to find information, which is exactly what that chapter of the game is, I think for story's sake it makes sense. So the fact that they kind of quickly got to Joel's injury that's going to play a big part in the next 2 episodes, I think it was a pretty efficient decision to make, and to leave this episode off and you go, oh, what's going to happen now? So overall, guys, another fantastic episode of this show. I feel like I'm kind of a broken record at this point, where it's just like, yep, perfection pretty much all the way around. But genuinely loved what they did with this, loved what they did with Joel and Tommy's interaction, loved the way that they executed the whole scene between Joel and Ellie, and it's a fantastic episode to kind of let you exhale a little bit before the insanity that's going to transpire over the next 3 episodes. This is the last break you guys are getting. Well, that's it for this one, guys. If you enjoyed this, please click this playlist over here for all of my Last of Us coverage. I'm also going to put my review of the video game Part 1 up here. If you enjoyed this, like and share the video, hit that subscribe button, and as always, remember, opinions are like assholes, but that doesn't mean you have to be.